Hello, everyone. I'm Stan Goldstein with Kates-Boylston. It's a pleasure to once again speak with Jake Johnson, the president and CEO of the Johnson Consulting Group. It's always great to talk to Jake. And he's going to be doing a free webinar with us here at Kates-Boylston on Wednesday, October 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's titled, How to Determine the Value of Your Business. So, Jake, we haven't talked in a while. Tell me what's going on with Johnson Consulting. What's new?
It's been a while. It's been a unique year. You know, we're coming off of COVID, and people are adjusting. If they adjusted with their staffing for when they were busy, they're now adjusting the other way, or keeping a close eye on expenses. And so, from a value standpoint, which I'll get into when I do the webinar, it's created a broader range, if you will. So it'll be a fun discussion because we always want to know what. We'll think about it every day, but we always kind of want to know what's all this hard work mean for me? What is this creating? Or if you're a manager, how am I adding value for the ownership? So it'll be a fun discussion.
And for those who may not be familiar with Johnson Consulting, tell us about what you do for your clients.
You got it. So I started with my father in 2004. It was just the two of us, and then we've grown to the organization we are today with 40 employees, and we do back office support with accounting, business consulting, coaching, customer experience training, surveying, and then a large portion of our business, though, happens to be our business valuations and mergers and acquisitions, or helping people make the most of their buying and selling of other funeral homes or their succession plan.
And tell me a bit about your background. I know we told you actually work for funeral homes and cemeteries, and do you own a funeral home still? So
you got it. So my background is the same. It has a similar journey to those people that come out of Batesville, Indiana. So my family's from Batesville, Indiana. My parents are, and Dad was tied in with the casket company, and got into the funeral business that way, and he did his own roll-up. And then I got into the business after I graduated college at Xavier University in 1996. And my background was always with an interest in technology, computers, finance, accounting, and just learning things that I don't know, and always knowing that there's always something to learn. So with that, it's just grown into what it is. And so I have a real estate license here in Arizona, Series 65 securities license, and always have had an interest in how we look through the financials and other details, non-financial, of a funeral business, and help people understand just what they have or what they could have, with a few tweaks here and there.
And I'm just going to throw this question. How'd you get to be in Arizona, and what's it like living in Arizona?
My God. So my children were born in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so they have only seen a surface that looks like Mars. And so when we take them to Indiana to see their grandparents, they can't believe there's a place that's actually green. So you get used to it. It gets hot this time of year, but if you're working indoors a lot, the temperature is always about 75 degrees, depending on your thermostat. So
very nice, very nice. We've had a heat wave here in Jersey. Matter of fact, I hear a thunderstorm coming, so we might hear some thunder here in a minute. All right, your webinar is October 4th at 2 p.m. That's a Wednesday, titled How to Determine the Value of Your Business. Give us a sneak preview of what you'll be covering.
Absolutely. So once again, this for a lot of people, this is their most valuable asset as funeral home owners. And you mentioned it before, and I do own a funeral home in Sun City, Arizona. And it's important that, like mine and like for our customers and others everybody in the funeral profession, what's our strategic plan? Where's our end goal, and how are we working backwards? And I was reviewing an article that we're going to be releasing here shortly, and it talks about don't follow insanity. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And oftentimes, whether you've just not conducted evaluation at all, or just expecting somehow you're going to get the value you're looking for, or you have some general idea, or you hire to get evaluation done, or it's time to sell and it's not the value you want, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to wait and then just expect it to be higher in the future, or are you going to put some plans in place? And so we're going to talk about benchmarks and and what does payroll look like, acceptable payroll levels, because really, as I see it, the fun education that me and my team get every day is to watch what successful funeral homes achieve in value for how they run their business, and what buyers are willing to accept as a reasonable benchmark for expense levels and all the categories within a funeral business. So we can always think that, well, advertising could never be lower than this, or payroll has to be that, or facility expense, this is how it has to be. But the fact of the matter is, we can have, our pride gets to a point where it's either, it's important to us, or is it important to the customer? And if it's not important to the customer, if we're doing it because that's just what we want to do, that's fine. It could be impacting value, and how is that? So I'm going to go through all that during that webinar.
Okay. And last time we talked, I don't even know when that was, but it was a good time, I remember you saying, to consider selling your funeral home. So where are we now? Good time to consider selling or buying?
Yep. So the market has changed a little. There's the volume, the call volumes, or the amount of deaths through a funeral home has gone down what I would say 2019 levels. There's nothing wrong with that. And some businesses are still up, depending on the migration of the society during COVID and now working out of their homes. So I would say the range of value is broader. And I liken it to discussions you and I have about baseball cards and me collecting automobiles and cars. When you have the common baseball cards or the common car come up for sale, right now in this environment, the price is a little off. Maybe it's a little lower, I'd say. There's still people interested in funeral homes, so you're not without somebody that would be interested in your business. However, when you have that business that with a lot of attention to it, they're operating well, they're, all the things I'm going to review in the webinar, but, in their market, they're a leader, among other things, those businesses are still getting good value. I would say we've hit the peak of what the value range is, but that doesn't mean that those very high value funeral businesses a year ago have lost value, especially if they're unique. They still have a lot of interest. So, yep. So the answer to the question, is it a good time to sell? That depends. Do you have your house in order? Do you have to sell? What do you want to do after the sale occurs? So a lot of questions to answer that better.
And the interest rates are much higher since the last time we talked. Yep. How much of impact does that have?
That has an impact. I believe that you can amortize out the additional or extend the term to soften the blow on the additional expense on a monthly basis. But we do have customers where the loan that they had with the increased interest rate has really caused higher payments. If they had not constructed the right loan, or if their expenses are too high within the organization, that fixed charge component, they call it, or the spread between the cash flow you have available and your debt is a lot tighter. And so that's made it difficult. But really, again, if there's a premium funeral business that comes up for sale in any of our markets, like even my own, we're going to have a hard time not wanting to show our interest through a nice high value, and we're just going to suffer through a little maybe with the way the debt is. But it's not to a point where it would make me personally, as a funeral business owner, not want to buy a business. They're still very hard to find, especially in your own market. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about succession plans. Do most funeral directors that have them? And if they don't, what advice would you tell them?
I would say all of them think they kind of have one, but they probably don't have a good, well laid out one, which deals with, start with maybe even, when do you think you're going to die? When do you want to retire? How much money do you want to have during that retirement? Do you want to be working? And then within your organization, what do you have set up that's going to get you to that success? Is it with a succession with a family member, with an outside third-party buyer? What does your payroll look like? Is it a liability or asset? That's something I talk about in my webinar. Succession planning is very important, and it's something that needs to be started way in advance. The thing that's always a shame, and the nice part is ignorance is bliss. But when we sell a business and we tell them what the value range is, somebody could even be happy with what that value range is. What's unfortunate is if we started the process 3 years ago to get them, to get things ready and set up, that value range may be higher. So they might be happy with what they got, and we always get more than they expect, but it could have been more, which covers whatever taxes or additional, lifestyle or what have you. So succession planning is hugely important. And, there's surveys out there right now that says, at least within the funeral business, it might be just general small businesses anyway, with the way society is, there's going to be like 50% of the businesses or more are going to be in a transition in the next 5 to 10 years,
All right. And I'm only going to ask you this because I'm embarrassed by my background today. I tried to get on my normal work one and it stuck. I couldn't get the background, so I had to rush to my regular computer with my ugly background of my office here. And so I'm going to ask you, what are in your boxes right behind you?
Well, we had that discussion. It looked like to me if that was like a server, like I remember my father back in the 90s, he had a server like that in somebody's office. I thought that was punishment. It was just 20 degrees hotter. For me, I've got it down to just like the tools that belong in my shop, and they've been sitting there until I find a nice key to lock them so nobody can touch them besides me. So.
Hey, great. Yeah, my lighting I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost today too. So, so let's talk. You mentioned it before. I always like to ask you what's new in baseball cards and your car collection, and does that even relate to funeral service or as you said?
It's funny. I've been using them as late as yesterday with clients, talking about values right now. And again, and I made the comment, you have that very hard to find card come up, or that hard to find car that doesn't normally come up for sale, or in our case, that hard to find funeral business it's still yielding a good value, And so, in the car world, the value range is increased. The baseball card world, the same way. I did my normal collection for, to maintain having one set a year. And then in the car world, I'm just waiting for some cars to be 25-year U.S. legal so I can import them into the U.S. and then figure out how to drive them on the wrong side of the road. So
you probably have some space in Arizona to do that. So.
Yes.
All right. So Jake's webinar will be again on Wednesday, October 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And it's a free webinar. You can register for it at AmericanFuneralDirector.com. Click on the webinars tab. Jake, any final words from you? We're done. All right.
I look forward to the webinar. It's been an interesting year, and you got NFDA coming up and some other events. So it'll be good for everybody to get together and share stories and successes and how we can do better. So best wishes to everybody.
Great. All right, Jake. And I always love talking to you. So
you too.
October 4th. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.